Hello everybody, Oliver G here from the Earful Tower, and today we're going to be talking about interior design with a specifically Parisian twist. So my guest today is called Cléophée Poli, and she runs an interior design company here in Paris. You can find all the information about her on the links below. You can even follow her on Instagram so you can have a look at her style as we're talking. Cleo Interior Design is the name of it. But this is a topic I haven't covered before, and I found it pretty interesting because, when I haven't talked about something before, I start from scratch and try and figure it all out. So there'll be something in here for everybody, whether you've got a Paris apartment, whether you live, on a farm in Australia or in America or anywhere really, talking about design, talking about Paris, and talking about how to make your house a home. So Cleo is her name, Cléophée Poli. My name is Oliver G. This show is, it's without a sponsor, so I'll sponsor myself. This is brought to you by a few things. The walking tours that we do. Me personally, I do every Monday morning in the Marais. So if you want to come and walk in Paris with me personally, make it a Monday. Otherwise, we have guides doing fantastic tours of the Latin Quarter and Montmartre. This show is also brought to you by the Substack and Patreon members who, for $10 a month, unlock all kinds of bonuses. Years and years and years worth of bonuses. And lately, every week for the past 5 or 6 weeks, there's extra podcast episodes where me and my wife Lena go out on date nights around Paris and share our restaurant reviews and recommendations. So become a member today. You got 5 extra episodes to listen to just from the past month or 2. So links to those things below. Sign up as the newest member. Same for the walking tours. But for now, for the next half hour, we're talking about interior design in Paris. Well, let's get into it. Cleo, welcome to the studio.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Let's start at birth. You were born in the 11th arrondissement. You're as Parisian as it gets.
Yeah.
And did you grow up there as well?
I grew up around Nation. So
around Nation?
Yeah, not very far.
I don't know how old you are, but was it cool then when you were a kid? Because now it's like the coolest part of Paris, right?
Yeah, it was definitely on the up. Things changed.
I mean, Nation is still a little bit...
Still a bit residential.
Yeah.
But yeah, all the 20s, 12s, 11s has very much grown and evolved since I've been a child. But yeah.
So you're a very Parisienne, right?
Yes.
And you were... and then still at birth, you got this name I've never seen before, Cléophée.
Yes.
Now, you traveled around the whole world. You've lived everywhere. Have other people not heard it, or am I alone here?
No, you know what? I don't think any French person that I say my name knows my name. Yeah, no.
Is it an invented name?
So it wasn't invented, but I think it's very uncommon. I have a very creative mother, and she read that in a book one day, and she gave no other option to my dad, and that was that. Yeah.
So for people at home, Cléophée, C-L-E with a little acute accent, O-P-H-E with another acute, 2 acute accents in one name. And then another E at the end, Cléophée.
Yes.
Am I saying it right?
You're saying it right.
Cléophée.
Yeah.
So your mum's creative. Did you take that from her?
Well, maybe. Yeah, she's an artist. She does paintings, sculptures, drawings, all sorts. And yeah, my dad was on board with it. So that was that.
Is he also creative?
He was an antique merchant and collector.
Oh my gosh. So you being an interior designer is like the sort of addition of their two minds.
Yeah, turns out. Yeah, it took me a while to get there. But
really?
Yes.
Well,
eventually made sense.
I want to talk about, so before anything, I think, this idea of interior design and Paris is something I think can be relevant for everybody all over the world. Yes. Even if you're not moving to, even if you're not buying a place in Paris and hoping to renovate it with your services, people can add touches of Paris to their own homes if they wanted.
Yeah.
But I want to sort of pick your brain about Paris style first, because, in fact, let's rewind a little bit first. What is interior design? What do you do?
So most of what we do in the studio is really creating the spaces from, the bones of the space, the apartment or the house, all the way to furnishings and the last details of decor. So it's really creating the entire living environment and thinking about, from the paint color that you have on the wall to the couch you're going to be sitting on.
Now, you say in the studio, what do you mean? You mean you and your colleagues have a room somewhere?
A design studio, yeah. So we do interior design, we do furniture design.
Like a big studio somewhere?
We have an office that we work from.
Okay, and you work in there and you sit down together and you go, I'm thinking this color here, this color. So you're not always in the apartment. Forgive me for my dumb questions. This is a new world to me too.
Yeah. So we do work a lot in-house with our clients and go on site, but we do have a creative studio and office from where we work from and have all our materials, library, our palettes of colors and things like that, where we get to be creatives with the girls that work for me, and we get to lay out all the concepts and all these kind of things, and that's where things start.
And when the people that you typically work with, is it like people who bought an apartment that's gutted and they want to start from scratch, or are they kind of ready to go and they just want some details? How does it usually work?
We have everything. So we really go from people, exactly like you said, we have people that are purchasing an apartment that was, untouched for 60 years and that needs a full reno and decoration and all of it, to people that have already been living in their apartment or their house for 3, 4, 5 years and are ready to refresh the space, wanting to only work on decoration. So we do renovation and decoration, or decoration only. So that's where you can, there's every step of the process. And I think there was a lot of that post-COVID, where everyone was, stuck at home and realized, the importance of home. And so people, depending on the stage of where they're at in life and their children, their age, if they have any, if they're downsizing because everyone's left, or, I think there's key moments in life that don't necessarily have to be, dealt with a particular purchase of an apartment.
Sure,
there's plenty of moment in your
So what are people looking for when they're calling on an interior designer like yourself? Is it just like, I want more beauty, more practicality? What is like?
I think it's both form and function. You have people that mostly, I would say, they want it to feel like them. Like that's really where I find they need to feel like the space they live in represents who they are, and obviously also respond to a functional need. So, a space that doesn't function well needs to be rethought, or they just want to make sure that it feels like them and, that the space look like, the travels they've had and the story that they tell.
So you sort of sit down and interview them, sort of like a Rorschach test. You show them images and you go, tell me about yourself. What do you dream about? That kind of thing.
Yeah, we actually have a file called a deep dive interview at the beginning of a project, where we ask absolutely everything and anything in the way they portray how they could live and how they want to live. And is your brother an artist? Like, who do we need to put in the space so that,
What if they say all things you don't like and you're like, gosh, I don't really like this person. I don't like their taste. Would you stop working with them, or would you try and push your taste onto them?
No, we don't push our taste. So our whole aim is, obviously we have, things and aesthetics that we lean towards more than certain styles or certain eras of design. But at the end of the day, we're really here to portray like a client's aesthetic and what they want to do. So I'm not a strong believer in like one, or for at least for our studio, and I understand it can work for others, but one design and like just copy paste everywhere for everyone. Obviously that works for some, and people love one aesthetic that gets repeated. But I think it's really important to tell people stories.
That makes sense. And that's where Paris comes into it in two ways. Pure like, practicality. Paris apartments, you're working with old, typically smaller spaces, right? How much does that play a part in everything you do? Well,
that was one of the surprising thing when I launched the company, which I expected to have to do a lot of really small spaces. Like, think about like hyperfunction small spaces, because in Paris, apartment things are very small, especially for our clientele, which most of our English speakers coming from overseas and being here for a little bit or for a while. And turns out we worked mainly on bigger spaces, so we didn't have to do the very, very small studio spaces and things like that. At least not for now. It was super fun.
Maybe
to
that
design,
says something about me, that I think all Paris apartments are small because I've only ever lived in small ones. Maybe they're all big out there. What are you telling me?
No. This is a very big blend. So
have you seen some amazing apartments?
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Where are they all? Where are they hiding?
Oh, they're everywhere.
No, they're not. Are they?
They're everywhere. Yeah. They're everywhere. I think if you're thinking about the classical Haussmannian apartment and the very high and the ceiling height and, the Versailles parquet and things like this, you'll be more on the western side of Paris, obviously.
16th, 8th arrondissement, 17th even maybe.
Yeah, the 17th. The 17th is an area where you have a lot of development at the moment, which is getting really funky, and there's a lot of. One of the things that's quite happening at the moment in Paris, and that's been going on for a few years, is you have no space to keep on constructing within the intramuros, right? So there's a...
Hang on, let's explain that. Intramuros.
Intramuros means everything that's within the Parisian border. So from the 1st to the 20th arrondissement.
Inside the ring road.
Really within the ring, yes.
There you go.
And so we can't expand that city further than. We can do the greater Paris, but we can't expand that city ever more than that border. And so what's been happening on the construction side is there's those surélévations, so those buildings that are now being elevated and adding floors to. So
I thought we couldn't do that in Paris.
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
How high?
It depends on the urbanism laws, and it depends on different rules and regulations.
You can't be chucking an extra floor on top of an old Haussmann Mansard
So
roof.
not on Haussmann's, but on newer buildings you can. And so you have... So the 17th is one of these areas, the 20th. You have a lot of places where now buildings are going up.
Yeah.
And so you have apartments that don't fit the absolute Paris aesthetic, but are going to be bringing those views and bringing, those things that you may not have been able to have before that.
Interesting. You're quite, I assume, quite an aesthetic person. You see things for the aesthetics, the beauty of it. When you're walking around Paris, are you drawn to the beauty of the sort of iconic... famous Haussmannian style, or are you just like, give me that new stuff, or what happens when you walk around?
That's it would be difficult to not appreciate Parisian Haussmannian architecture, and it's obviously something that I find absolutely beautiful. I grew up here, and that's my little hometown. So that's what for me the base of architecture was, and then everything else that I learned about it came from on top of that, and expanded that knowledge. But do I love an Haussmannian building more than a funky 70s building? It will depend on that 70s building, but I do really, really love the Parisian architecture. I think it's extremely romantic.
Me too. And I want to I said two parts about Paris. The first was functional, the interiors, and you sort of answered that. But then the other thing is bringing Paris into apartments, which is kind of the theme of this episode as well. Can you explain to me, as if I've never been in a Paris apartment, what's a classic interior? What's a classic interior design that just screams Paris?
Well, I think it's a lot of different things. So there's a fair bit to unravel, to explain, because I don't find that it's an actual like sit down aesthetic. Obviously, it's something that you can recognize it feeling Parisian, but it doesn't have always the same rules. And I feel like it's really more so the efforts of layering, it's the mix of eras. It's being able to have a thing that we like to see as more like a quiet luxury. It's something that feels collected, it feels like it's been built over time. It's, you feel like there's a story in the space, and that could be because of a mix of furniture from, a classical piece to a very modern craftsman designer light that will come and compose the space and give it balance. And obviously you have a lot of different materials and patinas and, that you'll find that will be repeated in Parisian apartments. So, the marbles, the lacquered brass, the beautiful oak parquets and flooring and things like this. So you have some like baseline, I find. And then on top of that, it really feels like it tells the story of the person that lives in there. Yeah. And that will be through, I feel like when you think about a space that's been lived in in Paris, you'd think about the person that lives there. When you look at the interiors, you feel like there's the story of the person there.
Yeah.
And, that it's a well-traveled person, that it's, it doesn't feel like it was bought in one go in a catalog.
I wonder if or how that differs from an apartment in New York or London or, other world capitals.
Well, I think it's obviously, there's a very strong point of the architectural details that you'll find in classical Haussmannian apartments, which is probably the thing that you'll think first in Parisian interiors. So there will be the marble fireplace, there will be the molding and stuff like that that you'll find in the spaces that will bring in and add the character of the architecture. And then everything that goes within in terms of furnishings and decoration will have this kind of curated feel where, it'll be the blend of like all of the books, all of the art, all the, all the things that feel like it's been lived in. It's got a timeless aesthetic. It doesn't feel perfect, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. And I know that you deal with a lot of people coming from abroad buying maybe a second house or something in Paris, do those people say, Cleo Fee, make it Parisian for me? Or do they go, do people seek that Parisian vibe?
So we do have that, yes. So some of our clients are, people that, have married French people. And so there's a very big blend of types of aesthetic, as I said before, that we work with. But we actually have worked on like two recent projects where we are much more classical and following more Parisian guidelines. And
do you like doing that?
I do.
Yeah?
Yeah, I do. I think it's very fun. I think it's very fun because of the historical aspect as well. And I think there's a very fun play on having this old meets new aesthetic where you have such beauty in Persian apartment and where you can, restore old flooring and you can keep, the original handles of the apartment and just give it a clean and, keeping all these little jewels that are already existing.
Interesting. Does that work in a country like Australia, for example?
I think that can work anywhere. I think it's really the matter of being able to, as much as, you have an apartment in Melbourne, you have a house in Maryland, or, you're launching a little French coffee shop in London. Like, I think there's like such different things that you can do so that the space feels like it's collected. And I think obviously leaning towards French design item or, this Parisian flair aesthetic where you could like collect French items and, design or pieces from designers. I think even in a broader view, you could even like think of a European aesthetic that could still, you can find beautiful Italian designers or, like Danish designers that, with some French pieces could like fill that collected and curated space.
Yeah, those Scandies know what they're doing as well, don't they?
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Are they kind of, which country is kind of considered to be the creme de la creme when it comes to interior design?
Well, I think it's impossible to tell. You obviously have you have a probably a top of the pile, but I think
Okay, go on. Give me some top of the piles then. There's got to be. I mean, there's 300 countries. There's got to be 5 that come to mind.
Yeah, so I'd say the Scandies are pretty good. Italy, French. I actually absolutely adore Australian design.
Really?
Yeah, and I feel like it's probably for the collected and the eclecticism that comes from all the different nationalities that the country is made of. But I think, if you, in the European style, but then, mid-century modern pieces are also like incredible, and,
I knew there was an answer in there somewhere.
There is.
Now, I want to, like a few of the things we've been saying have been kind of broad, like brushstrokes of the concepts. I want to get into the nitty gritty, especially I'm thinking that there's a couple in their 60s in California listening right now. They're driving down a busy highway and one of them's just said, why don't we make our home a little bit more Parisian? Honey, they said to each other. What can we do? Let's get really tangible. For this couple in New York, what did I say? In California.
Yeah.
What do they have to do? They have to come to Paris to get stuff?
Oh, they can. That's never not an option, because no one will say no to a Paris trip. Think about that if you want. But there are other ways. You don't have to come to Paris to get your Paris stuff.
Whether you're here or whether you're abroad, what are some, like, paint a really clear picture for me, some cheat sheets for how you can...
Well, I think the best way to approach this is to first look at the bones of your house. So, like, obviously, if you want to do a Parisian aesthetic, the main thing that, in terms of like common mistakes that could happen if we start from that would be to like overdoing it. So try not to overdo it. You don't want to get into the cliche. You don't want to, just feel like you've found Paris items everywhere, or, it's fine to have an Eiffel Tower in your house if you find it beautiful, right?
Is the limit one Eiffel Tower?
Yes, I've had to say it to one of my clients, it is beautiful, but we're stopping at one.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
But yes, and I think it's the thing where, there is this absolute, I think people get enamored with the idea of France and of Paris because of the romanticism. And I think so, like, when you're wherever you are in the world and you want to be able to start giving it this feel in your home, is about seeing, where do you live? What does your building look like? Or what does your house look like? Do you have any features that are already existing that you can highlight? Can you make a room, say you already have, decorative molding on the walls and things like this? Would you want to highlight that room and, paint it a paint them dark and, like being able to like really highlight some of the features that are already parts of the bones of the house. And then, I mean, I love blending different eras. So I love mixing old and new, and, not everyone's going to do like a full revamp of an entire apartment or buy everything new. So like see what you have in your home and be able to like collect the pieces that bring you joy. Like, a piece that either is a family heirloom or if it's something that, that you just know that you've loved that forever and you'll still love it in 10 years. And then edit. So start making some clearance about the things that you feel like maybe don't feel like they have as much importance or you don't have an emotional connection with. And then my first stop would probably be go to an antique local store.
Yep. Which one?
Okay, let me start with everywhere in the world where you could go. No, but a local store wherever you live in the world. If you'd like to come to Paris and do antiques, the Paris flea market in the Puce de Saint-Ouen is absolute must go.
Yep.
But in terms of wherever you live, I think we live in a world where you also have Craigslist or Gumtree, or you have Facebook Marketplace everywhere where you can find incredible pieces and at also incredible prices sometimes. So if you're wanting to also like tour some galleries or things like this, that being able to get to that feel where you go about and shop for the things that you feel are the first either big purchases or important purchases. So whatever's going to really change the space, whatever, if it's going to be like bringing a bit of an ornate pendant in your dining room will change the whole feel of the space, then, go for that, bank on that, invest on the lighting, and then, you can build with the smaller trinkets around. And I feel like if you ever, try to create this curated, elevated feel that Parisian apartments have, and I think like that's also a general design thinking that I think is important, is to make it feel personal, like really try and like make it feel authentic to who you are, who lives in your space, if it's just you or if it's you and more. Like, what story are you wanting to tell? Are there local artists that you love? Can you go about and commission a piece that's, by someone that you love, but it's absolutely unique to your home? And like being able to tell that story through things that really give you this emotional connection to the space that you live in. And that's where I found the designs that we've done or that we've helped our clients do, where it works the best is when people walk in and feel, oh, wow, this feels like us,
Interesting. And I wonder if, like, I think, and I'm going to phrase this very delicately because I think people listening will have exactly what I'm going to describe. But I think a lot of people think a very Paris feeling is to have the word Paris. You know what I mean?
like if they would move from the UK or the US to Paris and they would have to have Live, Love, Laugh on the wall.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I say it delicately because I'm sure that's one of the most popular things in homes around the world. Surely, I'm sure. So I'm not casting shade anywhere, but is there a sort of better Parisian version of a thing to pick up cheaply from the market or from the bouquiniste or something?
Well,
that says Paris more.
Well, actually this morning I was with a client at a framer's that has bought a pied-à-terre here. And one of the things that, we do art curation for our projects, but we also like to tell our clients if there's something that you think you would like to get yourself. You're in Paris. She loves to go to brocantes, which are the local flea markets here. And, I was like, you go about and buy the things that you think that you'd like to buy. The rest we can handle. But if there's a few things you'd like to do yourself, let us know. Yeah. And so she walked around near the bouquiniste and she kept on going. And she found this old Parisian travel map, which is absolutely gorgeous, which was actually a fold. So you could fold the whole map. It wasn't a little trinket, and it was a map from the 1800s.
Okay.
And it's obviously an incredible piece that's, framed well, is going to look fantastic on a wall. And it doesn't feel like it's necessarily coming from Home Goods or, like it doesn't have that stamped
I see what
effect.
you mean. It's a similar, I get it. It's a similar kind of thing that you can pick up cheaply, but that tells a story that isn't maybe it was mass produced in the 1800s, but now
but I think maybe mass was less than a mass.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's the story too, that you can say, I picked this up from the Musée d'Orsay.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's like either, as you said, like, are you going to come to Paris to fill in your interiors, to have a Parisian vibe? No, but maybe you have come to Paris once or twice or more, or maybe you plan on coming to Paris. And if you do, then make that little effort knowing that you are going to want to bring a little something back. So is it something you can put on the shelf? Is it exactly that? Like something you can roll and come bring back in your suitcase? It can be a piece of furniture. You can ship it to the US, like there's transporters that can handle that for you. But if you have that in mind, think about the fact that whenever you are doing those travels, you can bring a little something with you and then being able to highlight that in your home. So think about it before leaving, or try and, think of where in the space you'd like to do.
That's great advice. I'm curious, imagine there's someone listening and they've got a place in Paris and they're thinking, I got to call Cleo. I think she could help me with my Paris apartment. What's your dream job? I mean, dream. Don't let anything hinder you here.
Yeah, that's good. That's good, but that's not an easy question.
I don't do the easy ones.
You know what? I came here.
But is it like, would you prefer huge, or would you prefer like some specific architect from the 1900s? Or is there something that just makes you, or like, would you prefer totally empty blank slate, or like what?
I think basing myself on the projects that we've worked on so far, the projects where we've had the most fun is really when our clients were really involved in the end result, but gave us absolute trust in knowing that we were going to understand their vision. So it's really knowing that our aim is to have you come home and just go, wowza, amazing, thank you so much.
Wowza.
Oh yeah, we've had it. We had some wowzas, which is always nice, good. And I think it's really the dream project is probably just working for someone that will give us creative freedom and will, know that we are here to understand what they want to portray in the home. So, we design custom furniture as well. We work with local craftsmen and artisans, and we always wanting to push the boundaries of design. So, I'd say, okay, the dream project would be having a client that would let us customize absolutely everything. We can do art creation and leave the artist do the paintings, but we could design everything from, the pattern of your floorboards to the handles on your cabinets and get absolutely everything done and manufactured. That would be very fun.
Oh, cool. Does it feel weird when you finish the project to know that you won't be in there again?
Very.
Yeah.
So lucky for me, it turns out we select our clients with, we have a handful of clients a year and I try to select them well. And one of the things that I tell myself is I want to work for someone that I would like to have dinner with.
Yeah.
It's a long-term relationship. We work on projects. It can be anywhere from the shortest ones being maybe 3-4 months, which is really would be the shorter version of a project, but to a year and a half or 2 years, So we're going to be in it for a while. We know our clients better than their best friends do. We know how many bottles of shampoo they're going to have, how they shape their legs, so we are such in the intimacy of people when we're working in residential that it's got to be a relationship that has that intimate connection and that we can feel that there is this link directly.
I kind of want to finish on something that's relatable to everybody. So my wife is a great shopper. She could walk around with anyone and say, that'll suit you. She doesn't even need to take it off the hanger. And she just goes, that's perfect for you. And with those shoes, right? I assume you're the same when you walk into someone else's apartment, that you can see what you think works really well and what doesn't.
Yeah.
I don't think I have that skill, right? I think I go into an apartment, I'm like, yeah, cool, here's an apartment, right? So is there something that you think, and this can be relatable to everybody out there, that people keep doing wrong?
There's a few things.
Go on then, tell me something. It doesn't even have to be about Parisian or whatever.
No, yeah, the few things. The first one that comes to mind will probably be curtains. Window treatment is something that we find is it brings so much to a space when it's done right. When it's done wrong, it really, really, really works against it.
Okay, what's a classic faux pas with curtains?
So faux pas with curtains will be for it to be way too high off the floor, so not touching the ground, blocking natural light because the rod is too short, or the rod being too low on the window, and raising that up will raise the curtains and make the space feel more elegant and bigger. And the idea is to frame the view, not, frame 20 centimeters away from the view. So there's that.
Ill-fitting curtains.
Ill-fitting curtains is a big pet peeve of mine. Rugs as well, rugs that are too small. A little floating island with a coffee table on top where you don't have where it doesn't feel scaled well in the space. So proportions are really important to us, and I think a good golden rule for rugs is you want to at least have the first feet of your furniture on it. If you can have all feet of the furniture and you can have your full sofa on it, and then it's called area rugs because it really defines a zone and defines a space, and that's a good one. And then lighting. Cold light, those blue lights that you have that feels a bit more like a hospital rather than, being in a nice, cozy vibe. So always leaning. So if you're at home right now and you feel like there's some lights that are turning blue rather than, natural light or yellow, change them. and thank me
What
later.
should you be aiming for? When I walk around Paris at night, I notice there's a great difference in the light that's coming out of different apartments.
Yes, me too. I look at that all the time,
Yeah,
and
me
every
too.
time I see those very bright blue lights, it gives me.
What are these
a lot
blue
of
lights? Why are people getting blue lights? You mean so bright that it's...
So it's not a brightness. So you have a measuring for lighting, which gives you the measure of the color of the temperature of the light,
okay.
which is measured in kelvins. So basically, if you have a 4,000 Kelvin bulb, this will give you blue lighting.
Okay, what do we want?
We want 2,700.
Exactly 2,700 Kelvin.
Not one more, not one less.
Got it.
So 3,000 will be natural light, which is good for bathrooms, but 2,700 Kelvin is going to be the warm white. Now you do have some brands that will tell you warm white or cold white because they don't want to get too technical, but if you look, you'll have the letter K next to 2,700. So change those bulbs and you'll see that,
Look at that. Just think about your curtains and your rugs and your light bulbs, and just like that, take a few Eiffel Towers out of your living room. Just like that, you've improved your whole place. But look, time's run away from us as we always do. If anyone's out there and wants to look up Clio, all the links are down below. But essentially, if people want their place interior designed, they should be coming to you.
Yeah, they can reach out to us. We do obviously in-person design here in Paris. We work also overseas on visio consultation for clients abroad. We do one-on-one visios, and we can work remotely if ever anyone's interested. They're more than welcome to reach out.
Well, Clio Fee, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your knowledge with me and with everybody listening. And best of luck with some of those apartments. I hope your dream one falls in your lap.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
The pleasure was all mine. Merci beaucoup.
Bye-bye.
So there you have it once again. Clio Fee Poli is her name, her Instagram, Clio Interior Design, and her website, cliointeriordesign.com. If you've got a place in Paris or anywhere in the world, by the sounds of it, reach out to her. Sounds to me like she has an excellent vision of what makes for a lovely apartment or home. So yeah, reach out to her. Say hi from me. I'll keep it short. You've been listening to the Earful Tower. Thanks to all the Substack members and the Patreon members. Thanks to everyone who's booked our walking tours. And if you're on the fence about booking one of our walking tours, go and look at those outstanding reviews on TripAdvisor. There's 107, I'm looking at it now, 178 consecutive 5-star reviews, which means Earful Tower tours are ranked, get this, out of 2,547 tours and activities in Paris. Earful Tower tours are ranked 19th. 19th. So thanks to everyone who's left a review, who's been on the tour, and who's shared the word. I appreciate it more than you could imagine. Maybe I'll see you on one of these tours one of these days. But that'll do for this week. My name's Oliver G. This is the Earful Tower, and thank you for listening.